Listen, just listen, pay attention, lend an ear. Listen, just listen, you never know what you might hear. Whoa! Listen, just listen, if you don't, we'll tell you this. You won't get the whole picture, there'll be something you might miss. Larry was so happy, his package finally came. He'd waited years to play the new 5D Space Squadron game.
He called his neighbors Joe and Bob. Come over now and see. Today's the day my game is here. Come play it now with me.
Listen, just listen, pay attention, lend an ear. Listen, just listen, you never know what you might hear. Whoa! Listen, just listen, if you don't, we'll tell you this. You won't get the whole picture, there'll be something you might miss.
Larry put the helmet on and turned the sound up high.
He turned the sound up high.
The music started booming, but the spaceship wouldn't fly.
It didn't want to fly.
Bob told him that the game came with a set of good directions, but Larry wasn't listening. He made his own connections.
He quickly pushed each button and twisted each knob too. He got so mad he held his breath and made his face turn blue. He made his face turn blue. Listen, just listen, pay attention, lend an ear. Listen, just listen, you never know what you might hear. Whoa! Listen, just listen, if you don't, we'll tell you this. You won't get the whole picture, there'll be something you might miss.
Drat!
He said,
My hat won't work. Something isn't right.
something isn't right. The helmet still would not perform, and now the top was bent. And in the back he accidentally put a little dent.
Larry,
Bob said softly,
can I give you some advice? Ask Joe to help you with your game. He's played it once or twice.
well, kids, what do you think he's gonna do?
Larry wouldn't listen. He claimed that he knew how.
I think that I know how.
And at that very moment, the helmet went kaplow.
The helmet went kerplow! The music stopped its playing and the lights quit blinking too. Larry turned to Joe and Bob.
Now what should I do?
We tried to tell you, Larry, before you broke your game, to put the batteries in here and line them up the same.
So Larry moved the batteries. The game began again. It began again. It began again because the batteries were now installed correctly.
From now on, I'll listen to my friends.
God gave us friends and family to help us through each day. And when we listen, we don't miss what others have to say. Listen, just listen, pay attention, lend an ear. Listen, just listen, you never know what you might hear. Whoa! Listen, just listen, if you don't, we'll tell you this. You won't get the whole picture, there'll be something you might miss. You won't get the whole picture, there'll be something you might miss. You just might miss.
And I wouldn't want to miss this.
Have I ever told you about the Israelites?
The Israelites. Oh yeah, I remember those guys. Weren't they supposed to be God's chosen people?
That's what the Bible says.
Oh, I bet they always followed God's directions.
Ho, ho, ho! You'd think so, wouldn't you? But sometimes God's directions didn't seem to make sense to them. You see, well, maybe I should just show you.
Huh?
Close your eyes, Junior, and don't open them until I say so.
All right.
Okay.
Well, how did we get here?
We're using our imagination.
Oh. So these must be the Israelites.
Yep.
Why are they out here in the middle of nowhere?
Oh, now that is a good question. Have you ever heard of a guy named Moses?
Isn't he the one who parted the Red Sea?
Right again. But we're going to go back a little further. The Israelites were living in Egypt, but not because they wanted to. No, the Egyptians had taken them captive and were making them work very hard as their slaves.
Oh, dear.
It was miserable. But God cared about the Israelites, so he sent Moses to lead them out of Egypt and into their own land, the Promised Land.
This is the Promised Land?
No. Oh, the land God promised them was wonderful. You could grow things and there was lots of food. No, this is the desert.
So why are they here?
Ah, yes, that is the point. When Moses and the Israelites left Egypt, all they had to do was follow God's directions and they'd go right to the Promised Land. But they didn't always follow God's directions. Sometimes they went their own way instead.
What do you mean?
Well, for example, Moses led them to the Promised Land right away. But when some of the Israelites took a look around, they saw people there that looked like giants. That scared them so much, they wouldn't go in. They got to the land God promised them, and then they turned around and ran away.
Oh, my.
Now, God was very disappointed in the Israelites for not following his directions, so he told them that none of them could go into the Promised Land for 40 years.
You're kidding me.
Nope. That's why they're stuck here in the desert.
Wow.
By the time 40 years had gone by, Moses had died.
I thought this story was about him.
No, it's about Joshua.
Joshua? Who's he?
Well, he was Moses' helper. When Moses died, Joshua became Israel's new leader.
Do I know you?
I'm the narrator.
Oh.
The Israelites were very sad about Moses dying because he was a great leader. But at last, it was finally time.
It's time? It's time? Did he just say it's time?
We didn't have a lot of fun in the desert. We didn't have a lot of fun in the sand. Well, saddle up your cow and go behind us now.
Because we're going to the Promised Land. For years I've eaten nothing but manna. A dish that is filling but bland.
But now we're on our way.
I'll have a cheese souffle. Because we're going to the Promised Land. And in the Promised Land it's gonna be so grand. We'll have our fill from the grill as much as we can stand. It'll be so great, oh we can hardly wait. Cause we're going to the Promised Land. The dining was loosey with Moses, but will be feasting with Josh in command. I'd like a taco, please, and some panos and cheese. Because we're going to the Promised Land. And in the Promised Land, it's gonna be so grand. We'll have our fill from the grill as much as we can stand. It'll be so great, oh, we can hardly wait. Cause we're going to the Promised Land. And in the Promised Land, it's gonna be so grand. We'll have our fill from the grill as much as we can stand. It'll be so great. With waffles on my plate. Cause we're going to the Promised Land. I hear it's flowing with milk and honey. Sounds sticky. Cause we're going to the Promised Land. Yeah, we're going to the Promised Land. Cause we're going to the Promised Land.
So off they went. After 40 years, the Israelites were finally going to their new home. With a big grin, Joshua led his people into the Promised Land. Unfortunately, he overlooked one little detail. Jericho.
Did you hear something, Jean-Claude?
Mais oui, Philippe. I think someone has bumped our wall.
Who are you?
Who are we? I think we should ask, who are you?
Oh, I am Joshua.
And these are the children of Israel.
Oh, hello, children.
Hi.
It was nice to meet you. Now go away.
Yes.
No, you don't understand. God has given us this land for our new home. So, well, you're gonna have to leave.
Oh, did you hear that, Jean-Claude? The little pickle says we have to leave.
I'm a cucumber.
That is hilarious.
Let me point something out to you, Picker. We have a wall. You do not. If anyone is to be doing the leaving, it will be you.
That is right.
Now listen to me. Our God said that this land was ours, and that all we had to do was follow his directions. So, I'm afraid, if you don't come out, we're gonna have to come in there after you.
I'd like to see you try. You can never get over our giant wall, Tiny Picker.
Yes, Tiny Pickle. You are not a mighty deer. You are just a baby gherkin.
I'm a cucumber.
Oh, ooh, my sludgy.
Maybe we should fall back and regroup.
Flee, you cowards! You may have your gun, but we have our wall!
Well, things weren't going as smoothly as Joshua had hoped, so the Israelites decided to pull back and talk things over.
That's a big wall.
This time, I really mean it. We should go back to Egypt.
Huh?
Don't you remember? Snorkeling in the Nile, 3 square meals a day, plenty of exercise. Oh, it was paradise.
We were in slavery.
Nothing is perfect.
Listen, kids, that land is rightfully ours, and the only way we're gonna get it is by taking out that wall, right, Jerry?
Yeah, that's right, Jimmy.
So Jerry and I are gonna put our heads together and come up with a plan to take out the wall.
Yeah.
They are so aggressive.
Well, Joshua didn't know what to do, and he could see that things were getting a little out of control. Where did we put that chemistry set?
Is Egypt north or south?
Then he remembered that whenever Moses didn't know what to do, he would go and talk to God.
How did he do that?
Well, Moses found the best way was to go off by himself and just listen.
I'll be right back.
So Josh went away from the camp to see if he could hear God. After he had gone a ways, he saw a strange man with a sword.
Whoa!
Josh wondered whether this guy was on his side or on Jericho's side.
Are you for us or for our enemies?
Neither, but as commander of the army of the Lord, I have now come. Well, Josh realized that this was a messenger from God, so he immediately fell face down on the ground in reverence.
I'm sorry, I couldn't make that out.
I said, what message does my Lord have for his servant?
Oh, really? That's what you said?
Yes, that's what I said.
Oh, all right. I come with directions from the Lord.
Great. What are they?
Ah, yes. The Lord says to you, Joshua, see, I have delivered Jericho into your hands. March around the city once with all your men. Do this each day for 6 days. Have 7 priests carry trumpets of ram's horns in front of the ark. On the 7th day, march around the city 7 times with the priests blowing the trumpets. When you hear them sound a long blast, have all the people give a loud shout, and the walls of the city will collapse, and Jericho will be yours. Well, have fun.
Those were very interesting directions.
They sure were. Josh went back to camp and told the plan to the rest of the
And
Israelites.
the walls of the city will collapse, and Jericho will be yours.
They thought it was interesting too.
So, we're supposed to hop around the city for 7 days, blow our little horns, yell, and the walls are just gonna fall down.
Yep, those are God's directions.
Well, I'm sure that would work great. If the walls were made out of jello.
Ooh, then we could eat them.
Last call for Egypt. Who's coming with me?
Just a minute. I think you'll find our plan a bit more sophisticated. Blowing horns in the desert isn't gonna do it. What we need is serious firepower. Sherry the curtain! Behold our creation, the Walminator 3000! How are we clapping?
I have no idea.